Dear viewers, welcome to the weekly roundup. There's not a lot going on this week, so it will be short and one day late because I was at a festival. Thanks for joining another episode. If you enjoy this, subscribe. And let's dive in. Starting with reveals and announcements. There's some cool news from Kingdom Come Deliverance, an amazing RPG game where you are playing Henry, the blacksmith's son, trying to get revenge on an evil warlord that killed your family. And they have sold 5 million copies across all platforms. Definitely a milestone, this one. This is a niche game, but a very good one, especially if you would pick it up after most bugs are squashed, which is around now. Dutch indie game Schim did an interesting contest, letting players decide a color palette for a level in-game. Not an assignment you would see every day, but in this case, given the type of game we're talking about here, it makes a lot of sense. The contest is now over, there were 35 entries, and the winner you see on screen right now. The color palette will be featured in one of the levels in the game, as well as honorary mentions for its creator, Sparky McCalc 1. It's teaser time, a mix of super small updates or teasers that I wanted to share. Diplomacy is not an option. We'll soon add 2 new infantrymen to the roster, a paladin type 1 and an X-Man. Not the superheroes, but a guy with 2 X's. Lens Island, following up on an earlier community poll, is going to turn the game into a true open world. Not sure what that means, but it should mean more exploration, which is interesting. Proceeding with the Patch Plaza, bringing an overview of patch news, I got nothing this week. It is super slow. Then releases, looking back at what released last week. Alaloth, Champions of the Four Kingdoms. It released and reviews are okay so far. 72% user score at the time of writing, which isn't too bad. The game did launch with a few game-breaking bugs, which doesn't help of course, but now that it's a few days later, most stuff seems to be fixed. I'm considering getting this title myself as well. I've been following it for so long and I kinda want to play it. Cuphead, The Delicious Last Course, to no one's surprise, is a sublime DLC, rated at 96% by user reviews. If you're a fan, this is a mandatory purchase, which cannot be said for Outriders Worldslayers. It is rated 36% on Steam. Holy moly. I thought they messed up the launch again, but no, this time it's the game itself which is to blame. After scrolling through reviews, most players complain about how short the new campaign is, only 3 to 4 hours. More than that, people aren't happy with the new endgame, which is more boring and repetitive than the expeditions, the old endgame if you will. The main issue though seems to be the price point of €40, which is a hefty price just by itself for a DLC. People seem to agree 10 or €20 would be more fitting for the content on offer here, and I feel that makes sense. Let's hope this gets the Game Pass at some point so you can just play it just like the original game. Let's look ahead at what is releasing this week. It is once again completely quiet really, but I don't want to leave you hanging, so I went into the dark obscure gaming sites and found one title which at least seems somewhat interesting. Dragon Forge is an incremental base building adventure game about managing massive amounts of resources by foraging and crafting. Nothing new there, but this time you are a dragon. Yes, you are a dragon flying around the world to collect resources, and then you build a house and a base and whatnot. As a dragon. I mean, why the hell not? This week's sort of free games, because I'm Dutch and I'm cheap. Epic has 3 offerings: Gene Force 1 Mutagen, a unique open-ended fantasy RPG in an alien land, and some viewers actually knew this game and recommended it. It is niche though, but it's also free. Second, a very cool title, Outriders, Lord of the Dead, a turn-based tactical roguelike RPG set in a dark fantasy universe. This is a highly rated game, it should be good. Simultaneously, you can buy all the expansions on sale as well for $5, meaning you have the entire game with all the expansions for just $5. Decent deal from Uncle Tim. Finally, Hood, a PvPvE game where you need to infiltrate a castle, steal a treasure and extract it. Meanwhile, another team tries the same thing. In theory, very interesting, but I've seen a Lazy Peon video on this game some time ago, and while conceptually it could work, the balancing was a nightmare and he didn't enjoy the game at all. Uncle Phil from Game Pass added 2 new games, both decent ones. First, House Flipper, a game where you're decorating a house, renovating it and then sell it with a profit. Apparently it's great and addictive. Also on offer, Far Cry 5. I played a decent chunk of that game. It's Far Cry, what can you say? You do know exactly what you're getting, and Far Cry 5 delivers with fun characters, decent action, but also the huge open world that ironically holds very little surprises if you've played Far Cry before. Still, decent entertainment. And time for some personal updates. What have I been up to? Well, a festival, which is why this roundup is one day late. At least you're getting it, I guess that's something. And as I'm writing this, I'm still a bit in recovery mode. I just got home, it's Sunday around 5 p.m. and I was spending 3 days walking around on the festival terrain, and it does take its toll, you know. I'm getting old. Had a great time though, saw a bunch of good music, great bands, the weather was great with 22 degrees and sun, perfect festival weather, so it was all good. Gaming wise, I hardly played any games this week to be honest. Just followed the news a bit, but as you noticed, there's just not much happening. And that's it. If you have any questions or remarks or suggestions, put them in the comments below. I hope you enjoyed the video, and if you did, you want more like this, consider liking the video or even subscribing. Thanks for watching and for making it to the end. Love you all, see you soon, bye bye.